Hey everyone, it is time for Old Roommates. This week, we revisit the Bad News Bears from 1976. So crack open a nice cold beer and get ready for another awesome episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And today we are revisiting the Bad News Bears, written by Bill Lancaster, Burt Lancaster's son, who also wrote The Thing and Firestarter, and directed by Michael Ritchie, who did Fletch and Wildcats, Christina.
Holy moly.
Don't we love Wildcats?
Wowza.
And so we begin, as we always do, by talking about then, Christina, to the best of your memory, what was your take on the first time you watched the Bad News Bears?
Well, let's see. I'm sure it was at home. I'm sure it was on like The Wonderful World of Disney or something like that. Is it Disney?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's Disney. But it was on TV, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I remember having the biggest crush on Kelly.
Oh.
I remember him being the guy.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny to think about, but that was my biggest memory of this movie was him. I felt like he was in the whole thing.
Yeah.
I thought he was like the star. And I thought he was like the cat's meow. I'm like the cooler than school. Too cool for school. Too cool for school guy. But I liked this movie. I thought it was fun. I remember it being just like a funny like movie. I remember laughing at how bad they were. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was basically my memory of this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
Thank you for asking.
Were you like 2?
No, so the first time I saw this, I'm trying to remember probably... I have to think back. I feel like it's maybe like a drive-in revival thing, like when I was little. Because this is, 76, I was 4. Mm-hmm. So, or it was, maybe on, I don't know, VHS or cable or TV.
On TV
yeah.
a lot. I really do. I felt like it was on TV a lot.
Similarly, I was not interested in Kelly, but I remember loving Tatum O'Neal's character. Thought she was in every minute of this thing. And I also just remember laughing so much and just laughing at all like the shenanigans on the field.
Yeah, lots of shenanigans.
The mistakes and the falling and the, things like that. And I remember, like, gasping when she got hit in the chest and I remember that. And so I really loved this movie as a kid. Mm-hmm. I really did.
It's a fun movie for a child to watch, I think.
So now...
Until now.
If you think so.
Well, until now.
Yeah. Through our middle age lens, Christina, when did you rewatch this?
I want to say about a week ago.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. It wasn't too long ago, but it was about a week ago. And I was looking forward to this movie because, you remember some about it. Like, what his character is like.
Yeah.
And I was really curious to see if this would stand the test of time. Because obviously very politically incorrect, a lot of the stuff in here. But I was very much looking forward to it.
So you remembered it being politically incorrect?
No, I remembered that he was a drinker.
Oh, okay.
I remembered at least that part of it. And as an adult, thinking back to it, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I don't think this is going to stand up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. I mean, we've been doing this podcast for over 3 years now, so, you kind of have that thought. But I will say, I was pleasantly surprised about the movie. Now, there's obviously many things that would not happen in today's day and age, for sure. Yeah. But I think the general feel of it was, it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, I think, in terms of that politically correctness, I guess. It's hard to explain. I felt it was almost right for me. Okay, and stick with me.
I'll stick with you, but you better tread real lightly, girl, because this is reminding me.
I know
of Smokey and the Bandit. Go ahead, because I'm so ready for this conversation.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so ready. No, so here's the thing. It reminded me a lot, in general, of almost like Uncle Buck, where I expected him to be just like a really crappy person, a loser, didn't care, like all of this stuff, but he surprised me in a pleasant way because I did feel like he genuinely cared about these kids.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know how to care for these kids, but I think he did care for them. And to be honest, like, yes, he's drinking and all this sort of thing, but I don't think it's the same as him being a crazy drinker now as it was then. He was a crazy drinker on the field in front of the kids, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody back then cared that much about that part of it.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So to me, it wasn't like he was really, I mean, yes, he was doing some things wrong, but not to the same level as if he was doing it today. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying this correctly?
Yeah.
So to me, I felt like he was more of an upstanding person than I would have thought him to be prior to the revisit.
Okay.
I think I'm wording that all correctly. Why don't you say a few words? Because the kids are a little bit of a different story. The writing and things like that are a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
But you go on.
Well, I'm gonna say something a little detached from what you're saying. Okay. So Vic Morrow is third billing in this movie.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember the story of Vic Morrow. We talked about him in the past on this podcast because he was in a movie, The Twilight Zone, the movie. Mm-hmm. Vic Morrow he plays Roy. He is the Yankees coach in the Bad News Bears. He is Jennifer Jason Leigh's father in real life. Mm-hmm. And he made a movie called The Twilight Zone, directed by, I believe, Jonathan Landis. And due to some faulty, poorly supervised safety rules, neglected, things like that, he died in the filming from a special effects stunt gone very wrong. He was beheaded by a helicopter blade.
I remember you talking about
this. And the two child actors he was with were also killed. I don't think I'd ever seen a movie with Vic Morrow. Not connecting like a million years ago, being like, oh, that's Vic Morrow. Like now to see a movie, it's like, oh my gosh, he was so good in this movie. Mm-hmm. We can go back to that, but I wanted to upfront load it because it's actually my first note. When I saw his name, I was like, oh shit, I don't think I've ever seen a movie with Vic Morrow in it. But going into like, say, the quality of character with Walter Matthau, I really liked him in this. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I struggled towards the end, we'll get to that, with his sort of the light shine, the sort of the awakening he gets. I think it's a little too movie-ish. But
yeah, we will definitely
we'll get into that. Yeah. But I liked him as a character that I found to be super believable. I think there's something with the 70s film where it always looks scary to me. Like the sunlight in the very beginning when they're playing baseball, you hear the people, then you see Kelly in the bike, right? And then Walter Matthau. And there's something like with a 70s quality of film that feels a little tragic and a little creepy. Mm-hmm. Watching him drink alone in his car and like he's pouring...
he's pouring some vodka or something
schnapps in the beer,
which is so weird.
So, but I mean, I think like in the grand scheme of things, I think the kids were way more foul-mouthed and badly behaved than he was. Was he even badly behaved? I don't know. So it's like, but I liked his character a lot.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I liked. I felt he was so much more upstanding than I remembered him to be, which was kind of funny to me.
I don't remember him. Well, this is saying something about me because my dad was a raging alcoholic, and watching this, I can understand when I was a kid why I didn't even think it was weird. Like, right? He's always drinking beer. He's drinking and driving. I mean, he's like drinking
and driving. And probably didn't even have a seatbelt on.
He's drinking in front of the kids. One point he throws his beer at Tatum O'Neal. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's so insane. But at the same time, when I was a kid, that would never even cross my mind that was bad behavior. Like, drinking is bad? What? Mm-hmm. Because that's how I was raised. So, but...
Well, in my experience, so my father, wasn't, like, abusive. He wasn't, like that. But he did drink a lot.
Yeah.
And he drank beer a lot. So, it wasn't, it wasn't abusive. But he would drink and drive. Mm-hmm. He would, he would come home and like he would be all silly with us because he had been drinking. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, so it was kind of the norm. But I feel like it was. I mean, maybe this is too general, and maybe I'm misspeaking. But I feel like it was very. Drinking wasn't the stigmatism that it is today. Like it wasn't that bad. Like I felt like everybody kind of drank beer. Everybody drank and drive. Like it wasn't that same level of like awful. And whereas now when you're watching a movie, if you see somebody getting drunk, like he's the villain.
1,000%.
Right? You're not going to see like the hero guzzling a bunch of beer and driving.
Yeah, nowadays it's like, it's one or two things. It is completely and only for celebrating. If you're the good guy.
Yeah.
And if they show you drinking alone, you have a drinking problem.
Yeah, something horrible is going to happen in the next scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
It's just very
think of like it's a very dated reference, but it's like Sex in the City. It's like cosmos and laughing and ha 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 ha. Yes. That's the only, of course they walk everywhere. They're in New York, but it's if you're seeing a TV or movie character drinking alone, they have a drinking problem.
Absolutely. And just like Days of Our Lives, if you see someone drinking, then
that's a plot point.
They are going to be an alcoholic. There's no question at all. Like that first drink, you're done. You're done. You're either going to get in a car accident or you're going to be deemed an alcoholic. One or the other. So, anyways.
I don't know why I'm laughing so hard at that, but it's true.
Yeah.
It is true, yeah.
But so anyway, moving on to the kids.
Oh, let's talk about the kids. Yeah.
Were way worse behaved than I remember them being. And maybe because I was a kid. I mean, I wasn't a terribly behaved kid. But I do remember Tanner being like foul-mouthed, and that was like his shtick. Like just being completely foul-mouthed. I do not remember him being so crazy racist.
The N-word.
He
said the N-word like, oh
remember,
my God.
In Saturday Night Fever, he had that awful reference to spit.
I'm going to say, so I hate that word as well.
I do too, it's terrible.
But it's like, he says, this is the line, but it's Jews, spics, the N-word, pansies. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just putting them all out there. He said
like faggot too. I thought, didn't he?
Faggot said a few times throughout this movie, and it's just the language is like this is PG, and these are little kids.
Yes.
It really blew my mind.
Yeah, it blew my mind too. I was like that whole rant. I'm like, holy shit.
And yet, not my least favorite character. That would be Engelberg.
Oh my
God, I hated that kid.
He was such a little shit. I wanted to punch him in the face.
He never shut up.
Such an ass.
Oh my God.
I was so happy that one scene when, Walter Matthau screams at him. Because he really doesn't yell at the kids until that moment. And he's like, get your ass, So I think he's like, get your fat ass on the field or whatever. And he runs and I'm like, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Like, I was so happy when he finally yelled at that kid. He was such a little shit.
Oh my God, he was so annoying.
Oh my God.
But even as a film goer, he's annoying. It's like it crosses the line of like, oh, he's an annoying character too. No, he's actually annoying.
He is absolutely 100% annoying. Yes.
Yeah, and to your faggot point, there's a quote that says faggots and old farts. I don't know who said it though, but someone that was said a couple times. Faggots and old farts.
Might have been him. Might have been Engelberg.
Also, blow it out your bunghole was said by Tatum O'Neal. What I thought was so good is that there's one scene where it's like one team plays for Denny's, another team plays for McDonald's, another team plays for Pizza Hut, and their team plays for Chico's.
Yeah, it was
Chico's Bail Bonds. But which, by the way, is a real company.
I'm sure
in California.
Is. That is so funny. Yeah, it just goes to show because he was surprised that he had to get the uniforms. Remember, he was like, "What do you mean? Like, you just asked me to be the coach. Now I have to buy uniforms for these kids." But again, that speaks to his personality, whatever it is. where he actually did get them uniforms, but he had to go to Chico's bail bonds to get the sponsorship for them. Like, that speaks to his character.
Mm-hmm.
He cared enough to get them uniforms. Like, I really liked it. I was surprised at how much I really loved this character.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Walter Matthau, but I was surprised at how much I loved the character. And then, so like halfway through the movie, we have Tatum O'Neal.
And in my, old, like, in my memory, I thought she was in every single scene.
I thought she was way before. Like, I felt like that he saw how bad they were.
Yeah.
Next scene, he's meeting, he's looking her up. And I agree. I really loved the character of her, too. What was her name? Amanda.
Yeah.
I loved her so much, and I was so happy. The chemistry between the two of them on screen, I loved. I thought they were so good together.
That was in that scene where he does throw the beer at her.
Yes.
That is raw. Like, that's so raw to me. Gosh. And the acting is so good. And it reminds me a little bit of The Champ. Remember that movie, The Champ, with Ricky Schroeder and John Voight? Like, that is like that 70s. I can't stop saying that, but there's something different about 70s films. It's like
something so raw.
It's so weird. It can't be duplicated nowadays.
The filmmakers are not caring about what the audience feels about the filmmaking.
People don't care about even, like, looking aesthetically good, right?
Right.
I didn't look up how old Walter Matthau is in this movie.
He's
probably in his 40s.
I'm sure he's younger than us.
But it's like, it's funny because...
I'm going to look it up right now.
Because Tatum O'Neal, like, the acting is so good. And it bothered me at first because her line readings are really fast. But I'm like, you know what? Oh, this is just this character.
It's
like
her.
This is someone who is raised like, single mom. Like, she is, by a single mom, grew up too fast. She's literally at a street corner selling overpriced maps. She's pocketing some of the money. Like, and this is just how she's had to get through life. She was interested in baseball, and this guy basically, but seemingly, like, dumped her mother, or she dumped him, and then now she is like, now she's all kind of bitter, and she's a very bitter, 12-year-old, 13-year-old?
11.
She's 11? Okay,
yeah,
11.
11. But yeah, so it was believable.
Yeah.
It was believable.
So we're finding out how old Walter Matthau.
It's not super clear. So it was released in
76.
In
how
76, old? And he was born in 42.
42.
So he was
30. No. No, wait. He was born in 42?
Oh, wait.
No.
No. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Jesus.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Wait.
Walter Matthau was
so hard? 20. I'm sorry, 1920.
Oh, 1920. Oh, so he was 56 years old.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. That was when he was in the service. Sorry.
Okay.
Years of service.
I was like, he's 34 in this? So he's 56 in this movie.
Okay, 56.
That feels about right for that time.
Good. He's not younger than me.
But yeah, the acting is really raw. And in fact, I'm going to go back to Vic Morrow because I thought he was so natural in this. When he says to Walter Matthau's character, he's like, well, before that, he's talking to the kids, and he's like, just come home. Just go. Just run it. Trust me. Just trust me. And I feel like if this movie was made, and it was recently made, right, with Billy Bob Thornton, but, like, I feel like another actor would have made a bigger moment of that, like, just come on in. Who cares? Yeah. Like, and he doesn't. He just plays it very straight.
Very straight, yeah.
And even when he's talking to, what is Walter Matthau's character?
Buttermaker.
We're talking to Buttermaker, and he says, what are you a sadist or something? Like, he actually says it real, and it's even funnier.
It is.
And I feel like nowadays it would be like,
what are you? Some
Kevin,
sort of
it would be like Kevin Hart going like, like, what are you, a sadist or something? It'd be much more over the top.
Right.
And this is like, in almost every single performance in this is played very straight, and it makes it funnier.
I know. I love that. I really love that.
And I think that's a 70s. That's kind of a 70s thing.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They're just acting. They're just being their characters.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the scene
star
stealer,
of you got it.
right?
Yeah.
This was very much an ensemble. This movie.
Totally. Even Tatum O'Neal. I mean, she was an Oscar winner at this point, and she wasn't hamming it up. Like, you don't feel that at all.
She was totally, like, normal. animal.
I have a little bit of trivia, if I may,
let's hear
about Tatum and Walter. So, this movie was made for $9 million. It made $42 million. Now, Walter Matthau's paycheck was $750,000.
Wow.
Tatum O'Neal was $350,000, but she said she would do it for $350 with percentage of the profits. She ended up making almost $2 million in this movie.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so that was very
shrewd,
very good. She's an Oscar winner, like I said, for that point for Paper Moon.
And her father's Ryan O'Neal.
Correct.
So, and he was in the business.
Yeah, so he knew what to do. Yeah,
he probably had some experience with some sort of negotiating.
I will say this for casting: Walter Matthau was the third choice.
No way.
Yeah. First choice was Steve McQueen.
Interesting.
Second choice was Warren Beatty.
I could see
I could see that, right? And then Amanda, apparently, Jodie Foster,
of course,
was cast, and she dropped it. She dropped out for Taxi Driver.
Well, that was
a good choice. And then Christy McNichol was told she was getting the role.
Oh boy!
And then Tatum O'Neal was free after all, and she took. But then Sarah Jessica Parker auditioned as well.
Oh my God,
that's so funny.
Yeah,
but
I don't think she would have been good, but Christy McNichol might have been all right.
Christy McNichol, and then they later were in Little Darlings together.
Oh yeah, that's
Tatum
right.
and Christy.
That's a revisit.
And Tatum O'Neal trained for several weeks to do the pitching and stuff like that.
Yes, and I should mention, this is a good time to mention, so Patreon, patreon.com/oldroommates, I found an interview from, was it Rick Eisner? I think. Eisen. Sorry, Rich Eisen or Rick Eisen? I forget. Anyway, it's a show, and it's on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And it's an interview with Tatum O'Neal on the 40th anniversary of the Bad News Bears. And so she talks to him. She calls in. But we are posting that link to that interview on our site on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/oldroommates. Check it out. It's available to everyone. You don't even have to be a patron to watch it. So feel free to do that. It's really interesting, but she does talk about the training and all that.
Cool.
So in her relationship.
It's not all hers. There's some scenes that were.
There's a couple, but not, there's
but
not many.
She did most of it.
Yeah, she did a lot of it. Yeah.
My one negative, that first game that they win with Kelly, it's so anticlimactic.
It
is.
It's
so damn fast. They've been losing hard for a long time, and then it's like, yay, Kelly's here and they won. It's seconds long.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really weird choice.
It was very strange. Yeah. I agree. So yeah, and Kelly, what'd you think of Kelly?
So, Jackie Earle Haley.
Yes.
Did you ever see Little Children?
I did. I loved that movie.
I did too. Did we?
I
never talked about this?
I don't know if we ever talked. I don't know.
We didn't see it together. I remember I saw it by myself, I think.
He is so good in that movie.
Little Children.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was nominated for an Oscar for that. I wasn't, you said you had a crush on him, and I was, I remember that presence. I didn't remember what he looked like at all. I think he kind of looked like my cousin Rob when my cousin Robbie was young. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't remember any feelings either way about him then. But what did you think?
Like I said, I loved him back then. Today, as a middle-aged lens, I felt really interested. It was interesting how poorly they treated him. So that was one of the things I realized, as a mom looking down at this, this kid can't be that old. I could see why, I didn't understand why he was hanging out alone at a baseball field. He wasn't really causing trouble aside from, wanting attention.
Right.
Right? So he's, riding his bike along the baseball field and causing trouble in that way, which was unclear why he was doing that.
Yes.
So it was a lot of, questions. I'm like, this kid needs some help. Yeah. Someone should be paying attention to him. So I was happy when he joined the team because I felt like he was getting, the help and the attention that he needed in a positive way. Although I did not like the sexual, tension between him and Tatum O'Neal and how he's like, yeah, well, if I win, you have to go on a date with me. That whole thing. She's literally 11 years old. And she didn't seem to care. And again, she's older, and wiser or
she's
whatever.
She's definitely wiser. Yeah.
But it was just a weird thing for me as a mom.
Yeah.
Looking at this, and I'm like, ugh, I really don't like that they did that. Like, she should have just won. She should have just won the game and made him join. Like, I didn't like that part of it.
Yeah.
And then that didn't really come to any fruition at
No,
all.
they did
nothing
not
ever
end
happened.
up together.
They barely even talked after.
That's right.
Which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I remembered it differently. I remembered them like being together, not
funny.
together like dating or kissing or anything, but like I remembered them sort of like being a team together. And so much older than all the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was a little different for me.
Yeah, I barely remembered what he looked like or what really happened. I remember that bad guy, the bad kid that saves the day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I thought again that all the acting was really natural, even with the kids, even when some of the dialogue is like a little bit much for some of the kids, I think, but I still felt everyone was trying to keep this grounded, and it made everything so much funnier. And I will tell you, I'm jumping a little bit because it involves Kelly. I couldn't remember how it ended. And so when he is running...
Yes.
And Christina, I actually sat up and leaned forward. I actually got so into it. And it was like, oh shit, they lost. And I'm like, wait, is that really what happens? Or did they find it as a technicality or someone cheated? And it's like, no. And I'm like, oh, they really lost. And then when they ever said, shove it up your ass, I was like, I love this movie.
That's the movie that you remember. Like, that's the celebration that you remember.
Right, because it seems like they won.
Yes.
But in a way they did, because they all worked together and they were second place.
They were just so happy.
But they threw the trophy.
I love it. It was so good. It was so good. That was like the beautiful moment. Even as a mom looking at this, like, they get it. It's not whether or not you win or lose. It's how you play the game. Yeah. And you're a team now, and you have pride in what you do, and you tried your hardest. Yeah. Like, that was.
And they're all drinking beer, spilling beer.
Have some beer. Hilarious. Celebrate, you 11-year-old.
But I think there's something really refreshing about it in this day and age, where it's like a lot of people complain about this, where it's like, and I don't know how you feel as a mom, but it's like everyone gets a ribbon.
Hate it.
You do.
I hate
Why?
That.
Because you're a teacher. You're a teacher too.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. People need to earn their awards, and so when you give everybody a cupcake, a ribbon.
Yeah.
It's because it's the cupcake generation, is what I'm thinking. If you give everybody a ribbon, then what's the point in competing? Like, what's the point in winning if you're going to get it anyway? Mm-hmm. So it takes away the pride of winning, and it takes away the striving to win, and it's like it doesn't matter if you try. Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't like it. Yeah.
I think it also discourages people from doing their own best.
Yes.
Because it's not even so much about like, well, who, because it's like bad news bears for that matter. It's like, well, who wins and who loses? It was like, well, they learn to work as a team. They learn that they could be better if they apply themselves. And they win second place when so many other teams had fallen by the wayside. But I think it's like when everyone gets a ribbon, it's like, and also, as a kid, you're watching everyone get a ribbon. So you're like, oh, I don't know. Is this, like, right. I showed up today?
And what's that ribbon worth if everyone's getting one?
Yeah.
I think if they had that movie today, I think the other difference is they would have, even if they came in second, they would be in the dugout. Everyone would be sad. And then the adult coach would give them some sort of inspirational speech. Yeah. And then they'd be like, yeah, you're right. And that would have been like the celebration. I love the fact that the kids made the decision to throw that trophy down and be like, shove it up your ass or whatever it was. I loved that. And then they're really celebrating. And he was like kind of laughing about like, great, yeah, no problem. Like he was such a minor influence at that point. Loved it. I thought that was so, so great. All right, let me look at my notes.
Yeah, I'm going to say something. To the film's credit, I learned stuff.
Oh,
I literally did. I really did. About baseball. Like, never swing at a 3-0 pitch. Mm-hmm. I never knew that before.
I never knew that either.
Like, 3 balls, 0 strikes, you don't swing at a 3-0 pitch. You kneel with your left leg when you're going for a ground ball, because if your glove misses it, there's a chance your leg will stop the ball from rolling.
I think we should join a baseball team after all of this.
And then when you're going to hit a ball, it's best to lean in with your front leg to hit it. I didn't know these things. And so I was like, to the films, like, I think to the Bad News Bears, like, it could have just been a goofy sports, baseball movie, but he's really teaching these kids some lessons. So
Actual
it feels,
lessons.
so these wins, they feel earned. It's not just like, oh, they're getting better because they're whatever, they're all together. And it's meaning a weaker movie would have been all fucking montage.
Yes.
And they would have played some song by like whoever, you know what I mean, and over it. But instead, you're actually hearing Walter Matthau train these kids and teach these kids,
It's
and
great.
it was very nice to see.
Yes. I did love the montages when they were bad, though.
Oh,
Like,
for sure. No,
really,
there are
really
montages
fun.
in this.
The music
but...
was so good. Like, I forgot the song, like the
Oh, yeah.
And it started, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so fun!
Yeah.
I love this!
I did think it got rough at times when he literally shoves a kid in the dugout and tells him to shut up.
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay.
So they were pretty rough. Some of these kids were pretty rough. What maybe, not laugh, but like what maybe is like take notice was when Kelly was riding his bike around the field and it smashed into the wall.
Oh my
and
God.
the woman, who by the way is like a Martha Plimpton lookalike, did you think that? I'm like, oh my God, I would have thought it was her if it wasn't like
Joyce Van Patten.
She says, "Oh, I'll deck that kid," and then the coach he gives like a little nod, like yeah, like like you should. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, speaking of decking a kid,
yes.
So Brandon Cruz, I think is his name. He's from The Courtship of Eddie's Father. Remember that show?
Yeah.
So that is Roy's son. He's the pitcher. Christina, that is a great scene where you realize. It's like the kid has the power and you just slapped your kid to the ground.
And everybody. So here we are. Everybody's thinking that Walter Matthau's character is like the bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? And this guy smacks this kid.
His
he
own
falls
son.
to the ground.
Yeah.
And I wrote here, I said, the kid at the end makes the ballsiest move of all. When he walks up, and it's like you said, he has all the power, and he drops the ball at the father's feet and walks away.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yes!
Yeah.
That was amazing, and I loved everything about that scene. I loved it was from another team. I thought it just was so powerful and so good. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you if you wanted to say more.
Oh, no, but I think it ties into how crazy... Because growing up, my younger brothers were all into sports and stuff, and like Little League and all that, and parents get so crazy with sports and their kids in sports, and they get really aggressive. It's particularly towards like the umpires and the referees and the coaches. Yeah, it's insane. And I appreciated this moment where it's like, the kids have more power than you think. Yeah. And I thought it was really good. And then the woman, it's his wife or ex-wife, when she was like, "Oh, you're such an ass," or "You're such a something." Yeah. And then the kid just leaves with his mom. So I thought it was such a good scene. Excellent scene. Honestly, like, it fits in this movie, but it could have easily been in a different movie. Like, it's that dramatic.
Oh, sure, yeah, definitely.
Good, because I know you were looking up your...
No, I'm just noticing a couple of things that I wrote. So I was impressed that... So again, speaking about his character and how he really cares about his kids, Walter Matthau, Ahmed, did I say that right? Ahmed was upset because they lost the game. I think it might have been his fault or something. And he climbs up a tree. Takes off his uniform, climbs up the tree. Buttermaker climbs the tree to sit next to him to talk. Yeah. That's a cool thing. That's a cool scene. It speaks so much to his character. I'm like, this guy really cares about these kids. Yeah. It really made me. It made me really happy.
It surprised me a little bit. Not gonna lie, that he would do that.
It didn't surprise me because I just felt like he really cared about these kids. Okay. He didn't let anybody quit the team. He didn't let it was. I just felt like I don't know. I just loved it. I loved it.
Okay, I really liked all the handheld camera work. I don't usually talk about necessarily camera work on this,
you don't.
but this podcast. But what I liked about it is that it felt very unrehearsed. Like the camera was a little shaky. It's that 70s thing. Sometimes you expect Michael Myers to run out into the ball field and kill a kid. But like you really just watching this, and it's so handheld, and so you're seeing like a kid strike out, and it's all one shot, and the camera's following them back to the dugout. And it's something that feels so fresh and unrehearsed. And I think it just makes this movie that much more real.
You feel like you're there.
Yeah, you do feel like you're there.
You do. You feel like you might be there just like filming. Your parent filming the kids. Which was funny. I was like, where are their parents? No, one parent to be found in any of these kids, right?
Well, you know why? I noticed that as well. And I took that to be... There were some parents, a couple parents, you could tell that from their reactions in the stands, but very few. Mm-hmm. And my take was... These kids, no one believed in them. Mm-hmm. No one believes in them. Like, so even their own parents aren't showing up to these games. To that point, did Amanda's mom even show up to the game?
Didn't she? Yeah, I thought she was in the stand. I thought that she was saying, "Oh, Mom's coming. Mom's going to be here."
But who was she?
I thought they showed her. Well,
like there was
with red hair or something like that.
Well, no, I thought that was Roy's wife. Because then there was the
I know Roy's... Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Then there was the woman they kept cutting to, but she was... who's the sick kid? Lupus. Lupus's mother. Yeah, Lupus's mother.
Maybe I thought that was Amanda's mother.
Okay.
Or maybe she decided to not invite her after that whole scene.
So, I will say this. I do struggle with the kind of immediate turnaround of Buttermaker because there's something to be said. Like I didn't follow this logic, and maybe you can help me, Christina. Mm-hmm. So he's being really shrewd. He's telling Kelly, "You get every damn ball that goes out into that field." Okay, great. He is saying, "You throw yourself in front of the ball when they pitch it, so you can walk a base. You don't know how to hit a ball." Okay. So then he has this moment where he realizes that these kids aren't really the piece of shit. It's so that he thinks he himself is the piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And he realizes that it's a really nice moment. There's a long pause. The kids are looking at him. He's realizing what he's really saying. Is that it's much more about him and his own view of himself than anything to do with these kids.
Right.
But then... it's kind of instant where it's like, everyone gets to play! Ho, ho, ho! Like he's like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Or like, what am I thinking of? Ebenezer Scrooge, right? The next day.
Yes.
And I struggled with that because you still want to win. Or did he not care anymore about winning? And like, I didn't...
I think, so... All right, I want to address two things there, actually. So one of the things that kind of bothered me was I was so impressed at what a stand-up guy he was, and I felt the change from that to we have to win was abrupt.
Okay.
Like, I felt that change was like where'd this guy come from? When all of a sudden he's mean to Jodie Foster, to Tatum O'Neal, and he's like just yelling at her, and all of a sudden he went from great guy to asshole. And he was asshole for a little while when he's trying to make everybody win, and then immediately turns into great guy, like Santa. So I felt like both of those transitions were very, very quick.
It's funny. I believed the shrewdness more easily than the going back to the stand-up guy, because you had Roy was changing too.
Yes.
They both were like these grown men. They were getting very close to the victory, very close to the prize, and they lost themselves. And that was more believable to me than the turnaround of Buttermaker going back to like being like more open to things.
So, but I also felt like that whole moment with the kid getting smashed, right?
Yeah.
I felt like that was an eye-opening moment for Buttermaker.
Okay.
Like, I think that was more or less like, wait, what are we doing here? Why do we need to win? Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it felt a little bit better for me for his turnaround, in that it was still really abrupt. It was really like, it was a little too abrupt. But I also felt like that was where he was like, you know what, it doesn't matter if we win or lose.
Yeah.
At that point in time, like, it doesn't matter. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, that was like the learning experience for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny. Like, yeah, both of those transitions were too much.
Here's what a tweak that I think would have helped if he had said something along the lines of like, just do your best instead of have fun out there. That was it. He kept saying like, listen, just go out there and have fun. Just do what you want to do, you know? But if he had said, listen, just try your best. If you try your best, you win no matter what. Yeah. Just something a little bit more than have fun.
A little, yeah. There needs to be some sort of
competitive spirit. It's a game. It's the championship. Right. So they still could have lost. Like, that would have been great. I mean, it still would have been great if he had just said something like...
What if... I just thought of something.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What if he got so, like, frustrated with himself, right? So, like, he doesn't know himself very well, right? He probably struggles with, you know, the reflection part of himself. What if he's all amped up, he's telling people to do all these, like, whatever, just win no matter what. Then he sees the guy hit the kid. Mm-hmm. And then he realizes that he's kind of in the wrong, but doesn't really want to admit that to himself. And he just kind of throws his hands up in the air and says, do what you want. Ooh. In an angry kind of way, right? Yeah. Okay? And just like maybe even leaves the dugout or something, right? Or just sits in the dugout. Do what you want. So the kids take it upon themselves to just have fun. Yeah. Comes in second, and then they have that moment at the end that says, just shove it up your ass, because they all learn that lesson. And then at that point, that's where Buttermaker learns his lesson and says, well, you're right, yeah, it should just be about having fun. Maybe that would have been a little bit more organic. There we go.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Rewriting a classic.
I don't know. I like my version better. Yep. So again, I actually sat up when Kelly was running to home plate. Oh my God, that's an exciting moment.
It is so exciting.
So doesn't end the way you think, which I think is again
so exciting,
refreshing. They fucking lost the championship.
It's amazing. It's so refreshing.
Good. And do you know, I did some research that they shot both, where they win and they lose.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Which I think they also did for they did that for that movie Dodgeball. Did you ever see that with Ben Stiller?
Oh my God!
It's so funny. But
I
anyway,
did see that like a million years ago.
They filmed both, and of course, as they do, they tested them with audiences. Audiences loved when they lost. They loved it. Yep. And that's really surprising. I don't think that would happen nowadays, that they would pick the losing ending.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so either.
What else have we got? I only have a couple little bits of trivia.
I do not have any other notes, and I have a match game as well.
Here's something. The Aguilar brothers spoke perfect English.
Oh my gosh, good for them.
And they had to learn their dialogue in Spanish.
Oh my God, how funny
Isn't that funny?
Is that?
Yeah,
That's
they were
hilarious.
cute. They were so cute.
They were so
cute. I think it was when Lupus catches the ball.
Yeah.
That Aguilar brother that turns around and runs to hug him first, that like moved me. It was so touching.
That was such a sweet moment. Yeah. And what was it that little, he said something, Lupus said something. He like yelled something. I forget what it was now, but that made me that did something. It was oh man, I wish I could remember, but I loved it. That was a good moment too. Yeah.
And about Jackie Earle Haley, it's funny. So he had this major comeback in the 2000s. 2006 was Little Children. 2010 was the reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street. He was
right.
2012 was the reboot of Dark Shadows, and then 2014 was a reboot of RoboCop. He was like the reboot king.
King, yeah.
I have a match game.
I do as well. All right, let me go first. You always go first.
How dare you?
It's true.
All right, fine.
All right, so Buttermaker tried, but he really wasn't great at taking care of the kids.
Oh no.
Yeah. For lunch, he would serve them blank.
All right, I have it. It's not going to match because you're crazy.
It's fine.
Ding.
Finally.
Are you going to ding?
I don't have to ding.
You know what, Christina? Stop it.
All
right, so read the question again, please.
So Buttermaker, he tried, but he really wasn't great at taking care of children.
Okay.
For lunch, he would serve them blank.
Jell-O shots.
Oh, I like that. I did beef jerky.
No effing comment at all. All right, Christina.
All right, Brian. Let's hear your amazing match game.
It's pretty amazing.
I'm sure it's something that has one answer and one answer only. Go on.
Well, doctors finally realized what was wrong with Lupus.
Oh my gosh.
He's allergic to blank. Ding. Oh,
Ding.
All right, Christina. Doctors finally realized what was wrong with Lupus. He's allergic to blank.
He's allergic to baseballs.
Oh, he's allergic to grass.
Oh,
because he played the outfield.
That would have been a good match.
Christina, but the big question: more, less, or about the same?
I think I liked it more. To be honest,
I think I liked it more.
I think I appreciated it more. I mean, I was a kid just watching this movie.
One thing I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
So the N-words being thrown about, right?
Yeah.
When he climbs that tree with that kid, Ahmed, he climbs the tree, and Ahmed says something about being a honky to Buttermaker.
Yeah.
The only time any level of racism is checked is in that scene, and Buttermaker says, "Let's not bring race into this." It's like this kid was just called this poor kid was called the N-word 3 times, and he says a honky, and like, let's not bring race into this.
Of course not, because you're the one that's being the victim. So you're saying don't bring. Oh my god!
I almost want to watch the reboot with the remake with Billy Bob Thornton, because how do they get around that business with the racism? I know.
I'm kind of curious now too.
But that, my friends, is the Bad News Bears.
And that's it for this episode of Old Roommates. Thank you for listening. For bonus content, please visit us at patreon.com/oldroommates.
And follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Until next time.